The international story that we follow today is the war between Israel and Hamas. A number of significant developments today. Israel's military says it is taking aggressive action in southern Gaza, but will bring in a temporary pause today to allow for relief shipments. This is video into us from Nasser Hospital in Khan Younis, the biggest city in southern Gaza. Reporters on scene say through the night, dozens of ambulances rushed people to that hospital. This is a look inside. Video shows wounded, many children among them, being treated on the floor of the emergency room. Hospital staff say there are no more beds. An official with the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry says more than 40 dead bodies were transported to hospital this morning. Civilians are again being told by the Israeli military to leave an area that covers about a fifth of Khan Younis. And this video into us today shows people on the move from Khan Younis. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees estimates nearly 170,000 people live in the area, and the Israeli wants those people evacuated. That's a number that includes 50,000 who've already fled the fighting elsewhere in Gaza. As our senior international correspondent Margaret Evans reports, there are new and urgent warnings about the worsening humanitarian crisis.
There were aid agency, humanitarian trucks given access yesterday and again today, but they're not in the same number that we were seeing during that pause. And of course, we're seeing a higher number of injuries taking place along with the intensification of the airstrikes. The president of the International Committee of the Red Cross actually visited Gaza yesterday and has been commenting about her visit there. One of the things she said was that in the north of Gaza, there is no longer any kind of surgical capacity. She talked about seeing a lot of injuries, kids, people who've had amputations, and in part the difficulty because if during injuries, when at a time when people are being asked to move, they either have to stay where they are or they have to move on before they can actually be properly assisted with those injuries. Have a listen to what she had to say about her experience and her visit there yesterday.
What shocked me the most were the children with atrocious injuries and at the same time having lost their parents with no one looking after them. We are facing a situation here that will not be healed by sending in more trucks. We need to provide protection to the civilians in Gaza, to the women and children, to the elderly people that I saw today that have nowhere to go.
So, I mean, obviously, that's pretty significant when you have the head of the International Committee of the Red Cross saying the humanitarian aid isn't really going to make a difference because so many people are in the line of fire. And also, they have trouble when they're actually distributing the aid because of the damage to the roads and the infrastructures. One of the other things she was saying was that she will be she's pressing all sides to think of the Palestinian detainees in the occupied territories and, of course, to think of the Israeli hostages still being held in Gaza. Now, some of the hostages who've been released actually wrote a letter to her and to other senior members of the Red Cross asking her to please do more to gain access for the Red Cross to those hostages. It's believed that there are about 136 Israeli hostages still being held in the Gaza Strip, and they want more access to them. They want proof of life. The families of the hostages in Israel also say they've been left in the dark by the government here, by the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, since the truce broke down on Friday. They feel they're really worried about the status of their loved ones, and they say they haven't been communicated with by the government. They've demanded a meeting with the war cabinet, and apparently they're going to get it today. And of course, they'll also be hoping for meetings with the Red Cross.